I've had some requests to show how to make a little gusseted pocket that can be used in your journals or on cards or canvases or whatever, that will hold dimensional items, or more than just one tag. Like, it'll hold a bunch of tags. And so I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. I used one in a project I did recently, but I didn't show how to do it because I said that I fumble through it every time, and I really do. But okay, I'll fumble through it with you. I will do that for you, just for you all. You are going to need something to cut your paper with, something to score your paper with. You're going to need some paper, or let's call it cardstock, or decent, good weight scrapbook paper. Here, okay. Oh gosh, how do I explain this? Maybe I need to take this apart. Let me take this apart so that maybe you can see the construction here. Because you have the innermost score line. That is the one that determines the size of the item that you can put into your pocket. So this is going to only hold items no wider than that. And I made it just a wee bit wider than my items so that I'd have room to slip them in. So you're going to have a score line there. Your second score line, the distance between the first and the second score line, that's how far this is going to stand up off of the page. Like that. And then whatever is after the second score line, that is the flap that's going to be in the back that you use to glue down your pocket. And these can be a lot bigger than this. I tend to like them small because I don't like whatever I'm putting in my pocket to get hung up on a lot of excess paper when I slide it in. And you know how that can sometimes happen. So I want it to just slide in smoothly. I don't want a whole bunch of excess paper back here to hang it up. So that's the two different score lines that you have, and you have them on all three sides, left, right, and on the bottom, and then your top is open. So with that concept in mind, you take this page, and sometimes I start with the, if I want to make sure that this fits my insert, then I'm going to start with my insert. Okay, let's do that. Because, alright, I've got these. Let's just pretend. No, let's don't pretend. Let's just make the pocket to hold these pieces. We'll just pretend that these are my finished ones. I have some finished ones. Clearly, these are not them. Alright, let's make this pocket to hold these tags. So, I'm going to need, a ½ inch or more on either side, and I didn't measure. Oh, this is really an inch or more on either side, and that's okay. Minimum of a ½ inch. And I don't really measure. I just kind of eyeball, and that's fine. You don't need to measure. What I'll do is usually I'll turn this on the back and then kind of, okay, see, that leaves room on either side. Can you see, or is it, I'm white on white, aren't I? Let's see, what have I got to fix that? Oh, that's how to fix that. I painted this earlier. Lovely, huh? There we go. Okay, so I've got space on either side, enough space to make my gussets. I've got enough space at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is mark that, which you can do with a pencil, or I usually just take my little score tool, mark around it kind of lightly. I don't need to score all the way through. And I don't know if you can see that, but I can see the indentions from the score marks. So that is the size of the object I'm going to be putting in here. Therefore, I'm going to want to make my first score line just a little bit to the outside of this on all three sides so that it's a little bit bigger than my insert. Okay? So, I'm just going to use this to score. I can see my score line here, which you probably can't. Let me get, here we go. I do have a pencil. Okay, this is the size of my insert right there. Now, I'm going to score just a smidge to the outside. I'd say less than an eighth, probably like a 1/16 of an inch. You want me to zoom in? Maybe I should. Alright, let me zoom. Okay, maybe that'll be a little bit better. Yeah. So, there, see, this is the score line right here. And I want it just to the outside. I want my new score to be just to the outside, or my first score. So I'm just going to scooch it over a smidge, like that, and score it. There we go. Now do the same thing over here. I'm going to turn it over because it's easier. But, okay, there's my score line lined up with the size of my insert, but I want it a little bit bigger than my insert, so I'm going to move it just a smidge to the outside and score. There we go. Before I get any further, I'm going to double check. Is this going to fit? Yes, it is. And actually, if I was actually going to use this for these are going to be trimmed up a little bit, so that'll be perfect. I've got room to get several of them in there, and I got some wiggle room. So that's good. And then on the bottom, I just want to make sure that I leave plenty of room to make my gusset however big that I want it. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and make me a mark somewhere, or make me a score right about there. And that will be the bottom of my pocket. Okay, from here, sometimes it's easier if you just go ahead and whack these corners off, because I get really confused if I don't. So we can do that. Just snip off these corners. I'm not going to need them. They just add bulk. Like that. Okay, now, see, if you were just doing a regular flat pocket, I like mine like this. You could just go ahead and glue these down, slide your inserts in, call it done, right? But if I want to put 10 of these in there, I'm going to need more room than that. So, this next score line, we've done our first score line. The second one, remember, that tells you how high this is going to stand up off of your page. About 1/4 of an inch is, I mean, I rarely make them bigger than 1/4 of an inch. And I think it's 1/4 of an inch. It's, okay, see my little score marker thing here? The score line is right in between these two, evenly spaced. And that line right there, I think is 1/4 of an inch. That's what I usually measure my gussets by. But, you know, you can actually use a ruler and numbers if you want. But that just confuses me, so I don't bother with that. So, the second score line, and, you know, you make it however big you want it to stand up, but just make sure you make it the same on all three sides, the left, the right, and the bottom. So, okay, there is my first score on the little score thing here. Now, all of your other scores you're going to want to make to the outside of your pocket area. Does that make sense? You know, this is the inside of the pocket area, This is the outside. So all of your other scores are going to be to the outside now. So if I want to go over 1/4 of an inch, I'm going to move my already scored line over even with this right there, and then I'm going to make my new score right there. Now, like I said, I'm not even sure what that measurement is. Pretty sure it's 1/4 of an inch. Doesn't really matter as long as I do it the same on the other two sides. So, okay, line up my score mark right there, and then make my new one to the outside right there. Same here. Okay. There's my first score line. Scooch it over. And now make my new one to the outside. Alrighty. So now I'm going to fold on my new score line. So see what that does? That gives me the little gusset. It really helps if you score them straight. I didn't do such a good job right there, but you know, whatever, we're going with it. So there you have it. And you can see, okay, now here's one tip. I don't like my bottom flap to be glued first. I don't like this situation. The reason is because when you go to put your insert in, sometimes it gets hung up right there. You know, this will be glued down, but it'll get hung up right there and it won't go in right. It irritates me. So I always glue my bottom flap down first and then glue my sides down, so I've got this situation, which makes your inserts go in much smoother. They don't get hung up on the way down. So, and if this is too much, you know, you can trim this off, whatever. But that is all there is to it. Should we stick that on something? Well, let me save this because I'm going to make a video. I'm going to be working on this little journal, and I do want some pockets in there, and I might want this one, but I just don't know where yet, and I don't want to commit, so I'm not going to do it yet. Okay, let's do another one, yeah? Alright, let's do this one, and let's just make it out of the piece that we've got and not even worry about what we're going to put in it. We just want a pocket to use in the future for something. So, in that situation, that's something wet. I don't know what that is. Let's just get rid of that distraction. I was painting earlier, so there's no telling what I've set this in. And this is a scrap off of another sheet. Okay, that's better. Alright, so this one I don't have a particular size that I want to make it. So what I'm going to do now, instead of working from the inside out, I'm going to work from the outside in, just to maximize the pocket space. Now for this one, we're going to, instead of, you know, scoring on the inside first to fit the size of our insert, we're going to start scoring on the outside. So the edge to the first score line, that is how big our glue down flap is going to be. So all I have to do is decide what size I want my glue down flap. So I usually don't need any more than about that, but for argument's sake, let's say I want a bigger glue down flap. Alright, I want my pocket to be like this. So this is the bottom. So let's make the glue down. Let's just use this line right here for our guide. I think that's 3/4 of an inch because I've used this for so many years. I just kind of know what all the little marks are. And it doesn't matter what the measurement is as long as it's the same. So let's make a wide glue down flap this time and use it or do it right there. And okay, that's the bottom. Now this side. And this side. Okay, are you thinking, okay, now the next thing she's going to do is cut off the squares because that's what she did on the other one. No. Because remember, we cut off these squares all the way to the inner score line. And we haven't made that inner score line yet. So I'm not going to cut my squares yet in this situation. I hope I'm not confusing you. Just, okay, back up and watch it again. You'll get it. Okay? Alright, so now that is my glue down flap. So now I'm going to make my gusset. From here, we're going to work to the inside. From here to the next one is going to be how tall this stands up. Let's make this one skinnier than the other one, okay? So I'm going to make my score to the inside, and last time I went all the way over to that line, right? So that from here to here was my gusset. This time, let's do it about halfway, and I'm going to eyeball it, and hopefully I can kind of eyeball it sort of the same all 3 times. And if not, the world will not come to an end. I'll just, you know, redo it. So see, now I've got an itty bitty little gusset. I'm going to do the same here, and remember this time we're coming to the inside, and I'm going about halfway between. And then here, there's the first score line. I want to come over to the inside. It's about halfway between there and there. Okay, now at this point I can cut off my excess. Does that make it any easier to see? I want to cut all the way to the innermost lines. See, I've got 2 score lines here, one here and one here, so I want to cut here. And I've got 2 score lines, one here, one here. I want to go all the way to the innermost. Now you can leave some of these flaps longer and just fold them up in it. It just creates extra bulk that I don't want or need. So I just follow the innermost score lines. And look here. Yep. Or no, down here. You want the innermost. So we go all the way up to the second one. And then this one. There we go. Now, that's my first score line, so let's pull it up and fold it, crease it on the second score line. And let's do that on all 3 sides. Okay. So, now, see, it's got this little bitty gusset. And when I go to glue it down, I want to glue this one down first, and then these 2. So if I just want to hold on to this for future use, here's what I'll do. In fact, what I would probably do is let's pretend like I'm really making a pocket instead of just pretending to make a pocket. Okay, you can do this little thing Okay, you want to keep it to your innermost score lines, and just there and there, and trace that. If you've got a big circle punch, you can use that. I don't have a big circle punch. There we go. And if you'd like to, I mean, that's perfectly fine, but I really don't like those things sticking up in the back. So, okay, now to do this, this is your glue down flap. So these gussets on the side are going to weaken if you cut all the way to here. So what I usually do is I will leave a little bit so I could still glue down and cut just like that. Does that make sense? Just like that. That way I've still got something to glue down on the back. If you go all the way to the corner, you got nothing. And it can kind of weaken this little top part here. So I've still got a little something to glue down, but I don't have these big flaps sticking up in the back. And I've got my pocket just like that. I'm going to hold on to this for later. So, and if you want to, you can also trim in these sides. If you didn't fold quite right or whatever and they're sticking out, you can just kind of pull them in like that. Put glue here. You want to use a good sticky glue or double-sided tape so that it will hold. And there is your little dimensional pocket to hold. Is that big enough for that? Barely. See, it'll hold several of those things now. Very simple to do. Glue your bottom flap. Make sure your bottom flap is on the outside of the side flaps when you go to install it. You can make a little cutout to make things easier to pull out if you like. And there you have it. Okay? The end. Okay, really, Shannon, I had it right here, ready to go, and then I blinked, and now it's gone. Like I had it all cut and ready. Where did I put? Why? Why would it do this to me? Just to be mean, I think. How does this happen? Oh wait, here it is. I found it. Found it. See? Told you. Okay. Pocket size. I have lost my sample. See? Things disappear as soon as they leave my hands. How is this possible? I have it. Okay, where's that? Is it in the bag? No. I'll just use that because the whole purple one's gone. Alright. Did I drop it? I'm going to be really embarrassed if this is another situation where y'all can see it and I can't, and then you're yelling at me. And, oh, look, here it is. I found it. Okay, it's all good. I'm going to pretend like that didn't happen.